Hello everyone. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you. If you could do me a favor and hit the thumbs up button, that way it pushes out to more people. Comment and share where you're from if you're a new follower. That way I can check in with you guys and see what's up, or if you got any other questions. We're just gonna wait for a second and let everybody join in. Hello to everybody that is joining. How are you guys? How's your Friday night? Just sitting back here. The weather's starting to get cold in New York. So the leaves are already starting to fall off the trees, and it's that time of year, guys, unfortunately. Hello. If you guys missed the live that I just did on YouTube, you can go check that out. The replay is going to be available. I don't know if it's fully uploaded yet, but in the next day or two, it will definitely be uploaded. Plus, all of my TikTok live replays are all on there as well. How are we doing, everybody that's joining? I appreciate you guys. Thank you for being here. You guys are awesome. How's everyone doing? What questions do you have? Let's do a little bit of Q&A. On the live I just did on YouTube, I shared some personal stories of my vacation that I went on, and some experiences that I had with my friends that wouldn't seem favorable, but how I was able to manifest different versions of them in situations that normally would arise when we all are together, and how that changed just by going into the present moment. So if you're not following me already on YouTube, go over there and go check that out. It will be, if it's not available yet, it will be, because I literally just hopped off YouTube live and now I'm over here. Alrighty. So nobody's asking any questions yet, so I guess I'll entertain myself here. Lately on my videos and in my content, I've been talking heavily about the present moment. Instead of doing techniques, instead of doing self-talk or inner conversations, I've learned a more efficient way of manifesting the life of your dreams. And it's the way that I think that we were built to actually manifest, but we forgot, right? But it's all throughout the Bible. It's all through, ancient teachers that have taught this, the Buddhists, like it's all around us. And like the quote that really stands out to me is, "Be still and remember I am." Right? What does that mean? What does being still and remembering I am? What does that truly mean? It doesn't mean sit and don't move, right? And be still that way. It means the present moment. The present moment is who you are. I've been rereading Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now, which if you haven't read it, definitely go read it. It's a good read. But it teaches you that you're not your thoughts, you're not your feelings, you're not your body, you're the awareness behind all of these things, right? And it's one thing to know these things conceptually, but to actually be those things, to really know it on a deep level, not on a thought level, not on a feeling level, but on a actual this is who I am level, that's a whole new world, right? And that's what's really been sinking in with me and really transforming my life, is in moments when I'm having unfavorable thoughts, unfavorable emotions, unfavorable circumstances or stories playing out in my life, I'm sitting with them. I'm letting it be there. I'm being still and remembering who I am, which is the present, which is awareness. And I'm observing these things, not judging, not identifying with them, not trying to get rid of them or resisting them. I'm just letting them be there. I'm just letting them sit with me and flow through me. And as quick as they come is as quick as they leave, because I am no longer that person that's identifying with them. I see that it's just a character trying to show me I could choose that identity, but I don't have to. And as awareness, I have that power to choose those identities. So I gave a little bit of a story time in the live that I did on YouTube, talking about this trip with my friend or a group of my friends, and how normally when I'm around them, because they're married, all they do is fight. And I can't stand it. And they drag me into it. And I just had this shit story about them, their relationship, and the past trips that we have gone on that I was miserable because all they did was fight. So I wasn't even sure if I was going to go on this trip with them. I ultimately decided yes, because it'd be a good challenge for me to, face it head on and practice being present instead of going into the stories. And there was a few different situations where I was challenged, right? Where I could have given in to the identity based off of how they were acting and the things that were going on. And they had a few altercations, but they were so brief. It was like two different people in front of me. Usually when they'd have an altercation together, for one, they try to drag me into it. For two, it would last the entire day. They would continue to bicker and fight the entire day about the same thing until the point where they forgot what they were even initially upset with each other. So that was a completely different experience when I observed them starting to have an argument. Instead of identifying with oh, here we go again, and getting annoyed, or I don't get why they fight all the time, instead of identifying with those thoughts like I normally would, I went into my breath and just focused on my breath, focused on my belly expanding and contracting, focused on the sound of the ocean around me, put my focus on everything in my present moment and not on those thoughts, not on that identity. And as quick as the argument started, it stopped in that moment. And they, not even kind of apologized to each other, worked it out within minutes compared to within 24 hours. And it was few and far between. This is the best trip I've ever been on with them in seeing their relationship this way. Again, it's practicing it in the present moment. It's not, I'll return to this later. Let me, indulge in this thought that feels really good because the identity, the ego is telling me that this is what I have to do. I didn't do that. In that moment that I noticed these thoughts or these feelings, that agitation coming up, I sat with it. I allowed it to be there and said, this has nothing to do with me because I'm not the character. And I focused on my breath. I created a gap between me and the character and me as awareness. I created that gap to where I could disidentify with it. Does that make sense? So it's a practice, You're not going to be perfect at this. You will get better and better. And the more that you get disciplined, the more that you observe your thoughts. I mean, how many times I talked to somebody that's also a coach, and he gave this really good example, which is so freaking true. How many times are you just standing in the kitchen making a sandwich, and all of a sudden you're thinking these thoughts about your specific person, about how they're an asshole, and you can't believe that they did this or that. And my neighbor is blasting out, man. You're having a good time. But anyways, and nothing had happened. You're just having this thought, and it triggers those emotions within you. All you were doing was making a sandwich. It wasn't the sandwich that made you, anxious or made you sad or made you angry or gave you that thought that your SP is an asshole or the third party is better than you. It was the thought, right? It was that identity trying to pull you back in. But instead of identifying with it, you can look at it as an opportunity of, is that the character I want to play as, or do I want to choose new? And it's not that in that moment you have to tell a new story. You can if you want to, but it's more about, let me go back to the baseline. Let me go back home, which is the present moment, and maybe choose from there. Choose from neutrality. So whenever you have those thoughts, either put your focus on what it's like to make the sandwich and be so present making that sandwich, taking your focus off of the thought and the story that came up, or put your focus on your breath or anything like that. Your surroundings of your home while you're making the sandwich. And in that moment, you just disidentified with that character, which it just lost power. You just went into neutrality. And from there, you can tell a new story. You can, have different self-talk. You don't have to, though. Because desire means it's already done. Desire has the fulfillment already wired into it. So clearly, you know what you want. The only reason why you aren't experiencing what you want is because you still are identifying as the version of you that's trying to manifest, that's trying to change your 3D, that's trying to recreate your person, that still doesn't have what they want, that's still trying to figure it out, that needs to learn more. That's the only reason why you don't have what you want. Sorry guys, my neighbor's home, so my dog's got to bark at her. And he's going to let you know, nobody, get off my lawn. He's funny. He's a dachshund. I can't control it. He's out of control at this point. And he's an old man, so we just let him live his life. Thank you, Lane. Perfect moment. You are welcome. You are welcome. I'm so glad I'm reaching you right at the right time. All can change in an instant. Yes, definitely. For sure it can. Because there is only now. That's why when people talk about like instant manifestations, it is instant. As soon as you go to the present moment, that's all that there is. So of course it's an instant manifestation. Maybe it's not tangible, but it's already a manifestation of your new being. Right? Because that's all that awareness is. Awareness is being. It's not you trying to be somebody different. It's not you working towards being something different. You already are. And when you go into the present moment, you tune into that already are-ness, right? You tune into the stillness where all things are. And that's one thing that I've recently been learning within the past, we'll say, month, of like the true meaning behind awareness. The true meaning behind be still and remember I am. Like I said in the beginning of this live, still is not, like stillness is not holding your breath and not moving, right? And being a statue. Stillness is taking your focus and attention off of the thoughts, the feelings, or even the circumstance that identity created or is sharing with you, and putting it on the now present moment. Putting it either on the air, the breeze of the trees, on your breath, on the palms of your hands, on the sound. It really doesn't matter, but it's making you be present in this moment. In the present moment, you have no problems. You have nothing to fix. You have nothing to change. It's all perfect now. So it's your job to continue to return to that. That's the state of being. That's the state where you have it all. And then from there, you naturally might have new thoughts of your end, of you and your person together, or inner conversations or visuals. That's usually what happens to me. Because I've disidentified with the old. And naturally I start to identify with the new because the desire is there. So it starts to arise within me naturally. Because I'm giving it space to breathe. Does that make sense? No longer snuffing it out because the old identity is trying to come into play. Let me go back to the chat. It's always a choice, yes. And when we say like it's always a choice or a decision, yes, you get to decide what you want. But it's also a choice to go into the present moment. It's also a choice to disidentify. You can always give into those thoughts. You can always go down the rabbit hole of this thought leads to this thought, and then you feel like shit, and then, next thing you know, you're crying, you're upset, you're feeling in lack, you're feeling like you're never going to get your person, you're having these thoughts, oh my God, if there was someone else, it's been so many months since we've talked. You can go into all of that. You have that choice. You have that power. But if you want to break that habit, because that's what it is, it's an addiction. We get addicted to our thoughts. But if you want to break that habit, you have to go into the present moment, which then cuts the cord between you and that identity. And the repetition of doing that, every time that a thought comes up that isn't what you want, coming from the character that you no longer want to play as, or a feeling or a circumstance, and you go back to the present moment, you observe it without identifying with it, you cut that cord. And as soon as that cord is cut, you go into neutrality instantly in that moment. And you're retraining your mind, you're retraining your nervous system in your body to now start to shift into I'm not this anymore. So I'm going to go into wholeness, happiness, peace, which is obviously where your desire is. The loving relationship that you want is in the present moment because you are love. The happiness and peace and fulfillment that you want is in the present moment because you are already those things. That's what the present moment is. That is what awareness is. Does that make sense? Yeah, you can stay trapped in the familiar identities. Identities are constantly, especially like the ego or like the fear-based identities, we have been attached to them for so long and identifying with them for so long that that's what our natural is. That's what our normal is. So as soon as we start to stray from that or cut the cord, it feels threatened. So more thoughts are going to come up, more feelings are going to come up, and it's going to try to do whatever to save itself and to pull you back in. That's where it takes discipline and persistence to be like, no, and continue to cut that cord and separate and create a gap between you as awareness and that identity. So then things can actually manifest without techniques. If you think about it, the reason why we're doing, did we have to do techniques to manifest the shit that we did? To not have our person, to be cheated on, to be lied to be broke, to be in bad health. Did we have to do techniques? No, just happened from the state because we were in the state of fear. We were in the character, the identity that we don't have what we want, that life is hard, that people leave, we're constantly abandoned, we abandon ourselves. We don't know how to prioritize ourselves, we're prioritizing everyone else, so then hopefully they can stay. We are identifying with those characters based off, the society that raised us to be that way, our parents who raised us to be that way, and so on. So if we start to detach from that, when that's all that we've known, it's going to be scary for that character to be killed off, But again, we don't have to do techniques to create something new. Just like when your person was in front of you saying that they love you, but it still wasn't enough for you. You still had these insecurities coming up because the character was telling you, but the last time someone told you that they loved you or they wanted to be with you, they cheated on you. Yeah, that's love, all right. And then the insecurities start coming up of, who are they on the phone with? How come I haven't heard from them? And even though evidence in your 3D was showing you that they were there for you, that they, had your back, that they loved you, your mind was creating these stories naturally, right? You weren't trying to do it, but it was happening. And these stories, these thoughts, these feelings were coming up. So we don't have to intentionally try to do these things. It naturally just happens when you shift your state. So when you go into the present moment and you disidentify, it allows you to naturally start thinking thoughts that are more loving about your person, thoughts that are more peaceful about your person. They naturally just arise within you because you're in a different state. You're in the state of peace. You're in the state of stillness, where there are no problems, there is nothing to fix, where you are perfect and whole as you are. So lately you've been seeing pictures of you in your SP and you don't even recognize us because neither one of you are those versions anymore. That's actually a really good thing. Eckhart Tolle actually talks about something similar. When you go into the present moment and you continue to disidentify with these thoughts and feelings and whatnot, you start to see the world differently. The grass is greener, the leaves are brighter. You start to see the essence of the person, the essence of the of aliveness, of life, no longer the person through the identity. So you actually will start to see things entirely different. Even though they're the same things that you were looking at, you're not seeing it from the lens of like dullness, the lens of the character. You're seeing it through the lens of I am, right? The lens of present, where you can see the essence of everything. So that's why when you're looking at a picture of you and your person, things look like they are different because they are. You are not that person anymore, so you start to see things differently. But it's not that you don't know him. You might not, you got to understand, like, everyone is you pushed out. It's all the same consciousness. So you can't sit there and say that you don't know him just because you're not perceiving him in the same way. You know, the character that you were experienced a certain character of him. So now that you're no longer that character and playing that role, you're seeing him differently, which seems like it's unfamiliar because all you've ever known is seeing things through the lens of that character. So now it's a brand new opportunity to see him differently, but at the end of the day, you still do know him. He is you. He is love, he is happiness, he is joy, he is bliss. He's all of those things. The only reason why you couldn't see that before is because you forgot who you really are and you got caught up in the character. Does that make sense? Yeah, never done the techniques and just expected the worst, and that's why you experience it, right? The character was expecting the worst. The character had previous experience or was told that this is how life is, this is how relationships are. And that's why you had that set expectation for things to go wrong, for things to be a certain way. But once you start disidentifying with that character by going into the present moment, focusing on your breath, on your surroundings, and just literally being present when you're making a sandwich, when you're doing the dishes, when you're eating something, when you're petting your animal, doing your best to stay present throughout your day, along with observing your thoughts and then going into the present moment when you notice that your thoughts aren't favorable or feelings aren't favorable or you notice a circumstance isn't favorable. That's all that you're meant to do, is be present. You are welcome. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you and your questions and bringing everything up. So everyone is you pushed out is just meaning like everyone is a mirror. Everyone is your reflection of your wounds, your character that you're playing as, your belief systems. But as quick as you decide to disidentify with those beliefs, those characters, those stories, those thoughts, you'll see a different version of your person. Not that you're recreating them, not that they're actually physically changing. The consciousness that you are is starting to see things differently, right? Instead of seeing things through the lens of ego, seeing things through the lens of the character, which can only see through wounds, through not being chosen, not feeling worthy, you actually start to get a different mirror back because you're both the same consciousness. So to their core, everyone is you, or at its core, everyone is you pushed out, just means that whoever you are identifying as, if you're identifying knowing that you are pure awareness, you are pure fulfillment, then you are going to see that within everyone else, and they are going to mirror that within you as well. Everyone's going to be more loving, more patient, more understanding, more kind. Everyone's going to be more genuine, more honest, because you're identifying with who you truly are. No longer identifying with the characters that you were told that you are, right? The only reason why you experience crappy versions being reflected back to you or being mirrored back to you from people being rude, being disrespectful, being cheated on, being lied to, people saying, and abandoning you, people saying they want nothing to do with you. The only reason why you experienced that from that person or from multiple people in your life is because you are identifying as a character that's abandoned, that isn't chosen, that isn't wanted. You couldn't ever experience anything other than that because that is the whole format, the whole coding of that identity. That's why I kind of find it funny when people are saying, I'm trying to manifest this thing, but I'm still not feeling chosen. I don't know how to feel chosen. I don't know how to feel loved. Well, yeah, of course you don't, because you're still identifying as that character, and that character can never feel loved. That character can never feel wanted, can never feel chosen. That's the whole coding, that's the whole framework of that character. So we have to disidentify from that character, go back into the present moment, and from there is when you start to see things differently. It's when you get to experience different versions of people. The mirror starts to change because you have actually changed. You're being who you were naturally meant to be, no longer a false identity, a false truth. So our only job here as manifestors, as creators, if you want to call it that, is to decide what is true for us and what is false. There's false identities. The character of not being chosen, not being loved, not feeling worthy. That's a false identity, because to our core, as awareness, as our connection to God, again, who was it that said it? I don't remember, but there was a philosopher that said, it was Alan Watts, I don't remember, but somebody said that God is the sun and we are the rays of that sun. So we're still all the same, right? So with that being said, as awareness, we are love, we are happiness, we are bliss. That is our default setting. The reason why we aren't experiencing what we want from the people in our life, or the life that we want, is because we've chosen to give that power to a character based off of what society told us that we are, based off of what our parents told us that we are, based off of different experiences that we allowed to define us. But if we let go of those definitions, as Bashar says, and just let them be there and just be in the present moment. Sorry guys, my neighbor's but anyways, and just be in the present moment, then that's how you get things to change. It's trash day, so thank you for your answers. You are welcome. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you guys. How do you manifest an SP back? So we stop trying to manifest them back. That's going to be the first thing, because the only reason why we're trying to manifest them back is because there's a character that you are identifying with saying that you don't have them. They didn't go anywhere. I know physically you might be perceiving the fact that they're gone, that you lost them, but nothing can ever be lost because everything is you. It's all within you. So what do they say in the Bible? The kingdom of heaven is within you. So that kingdom is there. You with your relationship is there. We just have to remember we are not the character. So the way to manifest anything or a specific person, like you're asking, is to, when you notice the thoughts that you're noticing separation, when you're noticing the thoughts that you haven't heard from them, when you're noticing the thoughts that nothing has changed, that they don't seem like they're acting any different, but noticing the reactions, that you want to check their social media, check to see if there's a third party, check to see if their followers have changed or increased, if you got emotions of sadness or missing them or longing. All of those things we need to observe, because all of those things are coming from the character. And if we no longer want to experience life through the lens of that character, we have to disidentify with it. We have to go into the present moment. So when those thoughts come up, those experiences coming up, those urges come up to want to go do something or to reach out, those emotions that come up, we have to observe and go into the present moment. Focus on breath. Because those are not things that you would be thinking, feeling, taking action on if you already had what you wanted, which is that happy, fulfilled, committed relationship. So it's the character trying to pull you back in. So anytime that you want to go check their, Snap location, anytime that you want to check to see if their followers went up, that's the character trying to tell you, hey, go do this. So then I can feel like I'm back in power again. And the character is going to try to get tricky. The character is going to try to do whatever and throw a little tantrum because it's getting its power cut off the more that you do this. So to manifest anything or a specific person is starting with practicing going into the present moment, practicing disidentifying with thoughts, emotions, actions, and circumstances. Amen. Yes. So what do we do and what happens? Let me try to go back up. Yes, people are reflecting different states of awareness. Because if we become aware of a character and identify with that character, they reflect that. But if we become aware of our own awareness, because think about it, you have a thought, but who is the one behind that thought, being aware of that thought? You are not the thinker. Or you know what I'm saying? So once you realize I'm the awareness, that I can be aware of anything that I want. I can be aware of this present moment, which puts me into neutrality, where I have no problems. My only job is to not focus on the problems. Why would I not go into the present moment, where there are no problems, where there is nothing to fix? Does that make sense? I mean, and you can practice this on your own. Like right now, if you want to, like, if you don't believe me, like, oh, the present moment is full of shit, Lane. Like, what are you talking about? Close your eyes, focus on your breath, focus on your belly expanding and contracting, focus on what it feels like to fill your lungs up with air, what it's like to feel the air being inhaled through your nose as you're breathing and going down your throat as it expands your lungs. You focus on these things, do it for, 30 seconds, and notice in that moment your thoughts are clear, even if it's just for a couple seconds. There is no problem. You're just focused on your breath. There is no circumstance, there is nothing. So it kind of just shows you that, all right, if my only job is to not contradict myself, if my only job is to not identify with thoughts or this character or these feelings, then doesn't it make sense that the place where I won't have to fix anything, where there are no problems, is the present moment? Would I not want to go into the present moment all the time and do my best to observe when I'm not in that present moment and to return to it? How do you stop identifying, though? I mean, it's pretty much what I've been saying this entire time. You stop identifying by letting the thought be there. By being aware, oh, that's just a thought. Being aware of, that's just a story. That's coming from the character. Again, I apologize for my dog. Being aware of those things right there cuts the cord between you and the identity. And if you want to further it, again, going into the present moment brings you into neutrality, where you're no longer having an emotional reaction to that thought, where you're bringing yourself back to your body and not to the circumstance, not to the fear, not through the insecurity, the doubt, the worry. That's how you disidentify, by becoming aware that you are not the thought itself, that you are not the feeling itself, that you are the awareness behind these things, that you are not the character. You're the awareness behind the character. And this entire time you've been giving power to all of it. Now you're taking your power back. Does that make sense? Thank you for the gifts, guys. I appreciate it. Good, I'm glad it's making sense. I love it. I love when things click for you guys. If you guys like reading, go read. I'm in the middle of rereading it right now by Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. It teaches you, to go into the present moment and how to do this. He's a really good teacher, and that book is really amazing. So, And it is on, I'm listening to the audiobook, so it is on Audible. But I definitely recommend, like, you guys should constantly be learning and growing, not just watching videos. You should read the material for yourself. Oliver, sir. He is just a grumpy old man. I imagine him, like, every time that he barks and he's outside, he's like one of those old men. Get off my lawn! Every time. He's funny. You just want to know about resistance. So whenever we are feeling resistant, it's because we are still identifying with the character. The character feels resistant because you're trying to tell yourself that I'm changed. I'm going to embody a new state, but you're still, like, with that mindset, you're still identifying with the character that cannot change. The whole coding of the character is to be unworthy, to not have what they want, to be in lack, to not be chosen, to feel sadness, to feel longing. That's the whole coding, or the whole framework of that character, that identity. So that's why you feel so much resistance to either a new story, a new technique, to a new thought about what you want, or resistance to the idea that you can even get what you want. It's because that character you're still identifying with, and you're trying to see things differently, but you're still wearing the same pair of glasses. You know what I'm saying? Like, how can you see differently if you're wearing glasses that fog everything up, that blur your vision? You can't. The only way that you can is by taking off the glasses. And that's how you see things through who you truly are, which is awareness. So if you're feeling any kind of resistance, it's because you're still identifying with the thought, the character, the belief, identifying with the feeling, the story, the circumstance. You're identifying with the separation, the lack, the longing. That's all coming from the character. It's all coming from that state. You can't be resistant when you're focused on the present moment. You feel nothing. You feel no resistance. So that's why I'm teaching you guys, like, okay, I talk heavily about breath work, right? Why is breath work such a powerful tool for nervous system regulation? Well, because it takes you out of your mind and puts you into your body where there is no resistance. Puts you focused on your breath where there is no resistance. The only resistance that there is when you're playing around too much in mind. Your mind is a problem solver. Your mind is always going to try to get you to analyze, to figure out. That's what your mind was created to do, is to problem solve. That's why you have critical thinking skills. But sometimes we need to stop identifying so heavily with the mind. The mind is always going to try to pull us in. But the more that you practice presence and focusing on yourself, focusing on your surroundings in the present moment, what you're doing in the present moment, on your breath, if you're having a thought that isn't favorable, you're training yourself, you're training your nervous system to no longer identify with those thoughts, which then teaches you to not resist. Resistance is coming from, I'm in my mind trying to figure out a problem that can't be solved. The definition of insanity is continue to do the same thing over and over and over again. Your mind can't solve a problem that it created. Think about it. You're in this circumstance because you were paying attention to your thoughts. You were observing the fact and identifying with the fact that I haven't heard from so-and-so. When's if they leave me? They seemed a little bit colder. They didn't ask me or text me good morning. You know, your mind started analyzing what you were experiencing, even though your person was in your life. So your mind is trying to solve a problem that it created. So to stop creating more problems, we have to stop identifying so heavily with the mind and start identifying with the present moment, which is the only thing that exists. Be still and remember I am. I'm going to be going in soon, guys, because the sun's starting to go down, and the skeeters are starting to come out. Greetings from Italy. What is up? What is up? My family is actually from my distant relatives are from the chocolate capital, which is in Italy. So, bellissimo. Bellissimo. That's all I got for you. It's been a pleasure listening to you, and it's been a pleasure answering any questions that you have asked. If you guys want to rewatch this replay, it will be on my YouTube. There's also a video that's currently uploading from a live I did earlier on YouTube, talking about my vacation and some obstacles that I ran into and how I practiced in those moments, going into the present moment, like in real time, and like my experience doing so and the results that I saw from it. So if that's something you guys want to go check out, make sure you check out my YouTube channel. I get it. Thank you so much. You are welcome. You are welcome. I'm excited to hear you guys' success stories. Bellissimo. Yeah. All right, guys. So on that note, I think I'm going to skedaddle out of here. This live will be re-uploaded to my YouTube channel. If you did want to work together, I do have coaching and hypnosis services. I have a new 60-day program that guarantees breakthroughs. If that's something that you wanted to check out, it's got text coaching for daily, inspiration, motivation, or if you got, Q&As throughout the day, along with 1-hour sessions every single week. So if that's something you want to check out, you're more than welcome to. I have the free embodiment blueprint that you can also get, or the thought transmission inner conversation meditation. So all of that's linked in the bio. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your amazing questions. If you are watching this on YouTube, again, make sure you hit that thumbs up button and ask your own questions. I'd be happy to answer them in the comments. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you. And I hope that you have a wonderful day. Just remember, you got this. Answer them in the comments. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you. And I hope that you have a wonderful day. Just remember, you got this.